Do it for the greater good. That's what you hear everybody saying. That you gotta get a girlfriend, get married, have kids. Do it all for the greater good of society. But as a man, given how the rules are generally just stacked against you, and how one false allegation could ruin your life, or how a divorce could ruin your life, even leading to men killing themselves over these things, it really begs the question, why should I care about this quote-unquote greater good if it comes at the detriment of myself and my own freedom? You see, doing things for the quote-unquote greater good isn't exactly always the right thing to do. Like, would you really want to sacrifice your livelihood and your freedom just so that society will give you a pat on the back? Would you be willing to risk your acquired assets just so that you can be seen as a normal, acceptable member of society? When it all comes down to it, saying to do this thing for the greater good is really just saying, put a sock in it and do what we tell you, or else you won't be accepted by the rest of us. And that's a really big thing to some people. You got some people out there who care too much about what others think of them. And as a result, they just fill in the mold that society has created for them. And they're not willing to step outside of that because they don't want to be seen as abnormal. And even if you do this thing for the greater good, what's going to end up happening? Things are going to continue to become more restrictive. Things are going to get worse. And people are just going to be expected to stand idly by and accept it, which is what most men are actually doing. They're just standing idly by and accepting it as things happen. But let's say that you do have a couple of kids. You love them, you want to raise them right, and all that good stuff. But there should be one thing that lies in the back of your mind. And that would be, look at these children. How is society going to treat them in the future? So let's say you bring up the examples of family court and how divorce ends up, and all the double standards that you can name. You could come to the conclusion that what would happen is that if your child is a male, he'll be more likely to just be thrown under the bus by society and just be expected to take it. Take what he gets, sacrifice his livelihood and freedom like you have, and as a result, continue the cycle. Now, if your child is a female, she will be more likely to abuse the system as it's in her favor, as it's in her own self-interest. So what it all really comes down to is perpetuating a cycle that is accepted as being right or something that you just have to deal with and get over. And that really does show where everyone's at. It's like they're just not willing to go against what's in place, even if it means establishing their own freedom as a person and just saying no and walking away. you've had people who have actually tried to go into the mainstream, otherwise known as the MRAs, and they've been trying to advocate for changes in the law, divorce proceedings, and all of that other stuff. But so far, they haven't gotten anything done. It's like they haven't gotten anything done. And this has to do with the fact that society generally doesn't care, and the majority of voters are female, so the politicians are going to do what they can do in order to stay in power, to keep their special positions. So of course they're going to appeal to the people who they think would give them the most votes. So in short, doing these things for the greater good, such as sacrificing your freedom, your time, your resources, your energy, it's like, as a man, it just isn't really worth it. Just isn't really worth it. All they're saying is to just shut up, do what we say, don't deviate from the norm. And as men, we have to move past that. We have to move past this whole social conditioning that we have to do something just because it's what's expected of us. Because these things that are expected of us can come to our own detriment and lead us into ruin. So when it comes to doing things for the greater good, just because people say so, just say no, walk away, go your own way, live your own life. Because their approval shouldn't matter to you. This is Blade Master signing out.